Okay, today I want to talk about recessions. And I don't want to talk about them from the perspective that we're going into one. I want to talk about them on a more positive note. So many, and this is a little weird, right? Because who would think of recession and think positive? In fact, like the government has set up the whole Federal Reserve. One of its goals is to prevent recessions, basically, to help stabilize economies. But I want to say that that may not always be good. And let me explain why. Okay, so recently we've had a disruption in the market from a cryptocurrency exchange company called FTX. And as far as we can tell, there's a ton of fraud going on, and these guys have probably lost and stolen billions of dollars. And the thing is this, some people call it a Ponzi scheme, and these guys, these corrupt guys, would probably continue to survive if the market was to continue to thrive. So as long as the market was going up, no one really had concerns. But now, as soon as the market starts to dip, a company like this got into trouble, and all of a sudden, bam, we see that, man, they got billions of dollars that now they've basically stolen. It reminded me back to when I was doing mortgages in California. I used to live in California, and I worked for a bank called Wachovia. It's no longer in business, by the way. But during the last recession of that time, it started really in 2007, and then everything crashed in 2008. And when the market crashed, and we later refer to this as the Great Recession, it really was a depression without intervention. In 2007 into 2008, there was a guy named Bernie Madoff who ran a Ponzi scheme. And this guy was a well-respected investor in banking. And I think he was also like the chair of the stock exchange at one point. And he ended up having the biggest Ponzi scheme ever in history. Again, billions of dollars are stolen. And the only way we found out is because the market started to crash and it was exposed. At the same time, when the market crashed, we found out how corrupt banks had become, and that they were bundling mortgages into mortgage-backed securities and selling them to people, giving them these great ratings when they're really just junk that they were selling, but they're all great. And then we learned how leveraged they were. And so what's good about a downturn is that it exposes crap, that it exposes fraud, it exposes bad companies, and it kind of cleans house. And I think that's needful. Every now and then you got to clean the weeds out of your yard. And just like in nature, winter comes and it makes for great springs. So many businesses have started after recessions, and some of the biggest business we know started during these recessions. So don't always look at recessions as bad, although the government and the politicians talk about them in ways that, we're going to have this untold devastation, this untold amount of suffering. And, I think what's going to hurt worse is if these corruptions go on forever and the pain will only get bigger. So pain is inevitable. There's always risk in our lives. And I think recessions are good at kind of resetting things. So that's kind of my message today, is that right now, what appears to be in a slowdown period, which will probably be defined at a recession at some point. And, my question is, what other corruptions will we see in the future market? But that's all for today. Thanks.